All right, we're live from Bangalore, from my sister's place, and this is it. I was just updating new, the new thumbnail, which is gonna be of me as a child, and this is really cool. This is really cool. All right, let's see. Let's see. One thing that's going to be very interesting is one thing that's going to be very interesting in India is just going to be that how do you actually get all these people? How do you get all these people to start using AI? And when we think about intelligence deployment, how do you make sure that um, you have your foot in, you have your foot in with, you have your foot in while when you say intelligence deployment, which is going to be AI, and then how do you help people be extremely creative? And that is going to be the human intelligence deployment, which is simply that, hey, how do you use AI to be more creative? How do you use AI to be more creative? How do you use AI to actually listen to the things that you care about? How do you start streaming? How do you start streaming what we are doing over here? And what happens then is that you're actually giving yourself space to listen to yourself. You are actually thinking about things that you really care about. You can dive deeper into the things that you are really interested in. You start finding the threads. You start finding the common threads between all the things. But you look at everything from your own unique lens that you care about. Coming over in India, like right now, it's pretty cool to just like walk across the streets and see how different things are and how different things are from Vancouver. In Vancouver, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. There's sun. You can go walk out there, but then things start looking bland. Over here, there's a lot of action. There's a lot of sand. There's a lot of mud. It's not very aesthetic, but you feel, I don't know, you feel different. You feel this is very interesting. I think coming from India, you feel that you miss the texture. You really enjoy texture. Also, one thing I'm seeing right now is a lot of friends, what they're doing is they are just going all out. They're just going full, massive, full screen of the video, I kind of like. Which I kind of like. It's very, very aesthetic. So let's try this. Let's try going full screen, and let's maybe reduce this to this size. I don't know. Let's make the video go over here to the edge. Okay. I don't know if this is good, but who cares? Who cares? Let's see. Video capture. What if I move this down like this? And okay, let's give this much space. And for Mac OS, what if we use this much? I'm gonna use this much. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think this is gonna be the new framing, and it's very interesting. It's very interesting how what happens. India can look very, a lot of stuff going on outside. It could feel like things are getting really bland, and people are losing out on action. People are losing out on meaning. Over here, there's action. There's action. And at the end of the day, deployment. When we start thinking about deployment is going to come over here. OpenAI is going to be helping other companies to start serving other people, and the only people who are going to serve, the only companies that are going to survive are companies that serve the best. So you got to really be thinking about how are you serving? How are you serving in a way such that it is, how are you serving at scale? How are you having the most impact? I'm just curious. Let's see. What companies are having the most impact in the world? And then you also see Elon, where Elon is not going directly and like Mr. Beast, he's handing out $1 million to people. No, he's building products. He's building products that are gonna. He's building systems. These systems, these ecosystems are gonna change. These ecosystems and products, and they are gonna really change the habits and change the behavior of people rather than actually going out and handing people money. Because if you go out and hand people money, they don't know how to spend the money. So the most interesting thing you can do is build products. The most interesting thing is get the and algorithms also very interesting. Like you can just change how people think. You can just change people by changing the algorithm, and that is very interesting. That is very interesting. Someone who controls the algorithm, they can really control what people care about. They can really control what people think. With one switch of algorithm, he can decide that what will be prioritized. And then they are also making the algorithm modifiable on the user's end, which is again interesting. But more interesting is how when you are controlling the algorithm, how when you control the algorithm, you can really change how people think. And if you keep making the product really good, if you keep making the product really attractive, where people would want to come and spend time, then people would want to install it, and it feels like good for their mental health. That means that as your acquisition engine is working, and now you are kind of, first of all, moving things away from Meta. You're moving things away from other social media. I think it's mainly Meta, Facebook, Instagram, and you're moving people towards this place which is more focused on improving you as a person, improving your thoughts, making you more productive, inspiring you, showing you all the opportunities that are possible. And finally then you start building, and it's incredible. Slippery word here, so the answer really depends on which lens you pick. Few frames towards separating, reshaping technology and the economy. Currently, build out is probably the single biggest force, and a handful of companies are driving it. Nvidia, whose chips underpin essentially all frontier AI training. Microsoft, Alphabet, Google, Meta, Amazon, OpenAI, Anthropic. Alphabet hits a $4 trillion market cap in January 26, becoming only the fourth company in history to do so. Gemini now accounts for around a quarter of global air traffic, up from roughly 6%. Wow, Apple still shapes how billions of people experience computing day to day. Manufacturing and Apple, same space. Apple has done incredible work in bringing out a product that is totally changing the game, that is really helping. Yes, they're charging money, it's very expensive, but overall it has really improved the UI, the beauty. And I'm also really inspired. Also really interested in this idea that how we are really creating reality. Every product. Okay, that's assless. It's very interesting. I believe that every interesting product, every design, every product that we build is basically trying to recreate reality. We are trying to make things beautiful and make things as real as reality. And at the end of this entire build out, we will all just realize that the actual reality is way better than the manufactured reality that we spend all these years on. But the interesting thing is, it's not about the goal, it's about the fact that how this process of recreating reality has changed us. This practice of every day showing up and having this mission and vision that, okay, you are going after doing something incredibly hard, and you have to align all the people, you have to align all the resources. I think that is very interesting. That is going to really help us all be better, open our minds, improve our consciousness, and at the end of it, we'll just realize that, oh wait, we just created reality, we just manufactured reality, but why not just spend time in the real reality? Why do we need to spend time in the fake reality? Okay, this was a lot of words, but it's so interesting that you can start doing stuff like this with Whisperflow. You can start doing stuff like this with Claude. What all other companies are we talking about? Manufacturing and physical supply chain. TSMC is arguably the most geopolitically consequential company on earth. Almost every advanced chip in the world passes through its fabs. Foxconn assembles huge share of consumer electronics. Saudi Aramco remains the largest single influence on global oil markets. Saudi Aramco remains the largest single influence on global oil markets. Energy transition, climate. Tesla, BYD, CATL are driving the shift to electrified transport and grid-scale batteries. Nextera Energy and Orsted are major forces in renewables. Orsted, tell me about this company. I'm really surprised how even today people are not really using these AI browsers. How come AI browsers is not a reality? All right. Yeah, one interesting thing that I also would love to work on is what if you just go on, what if you just go, you just go walk around the streets and you just like start onboarding people, you start helping people that okay, how do you use AI, how do you use AI, you already assume that they are using AI. And it's very interesting because this has become like a common topic, everybody's talking about it, and you can pretty much use it to save time, make money. Everybody wants that, everybody wants to experience whatever the best things are out there, so it's going to be very interesting. Okay, so this is windmill. This is some really nice windmill tech. Fossil company that performed a midlife metamorphosis and turned itself into a wind-powered civilization. Machines, originally called Dong Energy, Danish oil and natural gas, used to be one of Europe's most coal-intensive utilities, and over roughly a decade it pivoted aggressively into renewables, especially offshore wind. World's first offshore wind farm in 1991. They helped industrialize offshore wind. The way Tesla industrialized EVs, they transformed from 85% fossil fuel based generation, 99% renewable energy generation. They operate at immense physical scale, more than 10 gigawatt of installed offshore wind capacity, with another 8 plus gigawatt under construction. Climate, geopolitics, infrastructure, engineering, and civilization scale coordination. This giant mechanical forest planted in oceans. Each project requires government negotiation, seabed rights, supply chain, steel manufacturing, underwater cabling, grid integration, weather modeling, financing, multi-international coordination. Saltwater corrosion, storms, deep sea construction, gigantic turbine logistics, energy market volatility. Not merely environmental but energy independence. Offshore wind reduces dependence on imported oil and gas. More screens, more attention, more simulation. Offshore is the opposite, wrestles directly with atoms, weather, ocean, steel, electricity. The product is invisible but foundational, turning moving air into civilization scale energy. A strange modern truth: the farther you go into advanced technology, the more you discover elements like sunlight, wind, water, materials, land, energy. Is wind energy actually efficient? I feel like solar energy is way better than capturing wind energy. Your intuition is understandable because solar feels cleaner, more direct. Sunlight arrives everywhere. Panels just sit there silently drinking photons. Wind turbines look mechanically dramatic, almost baroque, like giant kinetic sculptures fighting the atmosphere. But in practice, wind energy, especially offshore wind, is more energy dense and productive than solar. Capacity factor. How often a power source actually produces near its maximum output? Nuclear. That means 1 gigawatt offshore energy wind farm often generates far more annual electricity than 1 gigawatt solar farm. Why? Because wind is ultimately solar energy with extra steps. Pressure gradients create moving air. Wind turbines harvest the kinetic energy from those atmospheric flows. So wind is basically stored atmospheric motion. Wind can be surprisingly powerful. Panels are simple modular, no moving parts, cost of collapse dramatically, easy to deploy almost anywhere, works well, distributed across rooftops. Oh no, my laptop had a fall. Easy to deploy almost anywhere, works well, distributed across rooftops, maintenance is relatively low. Solar is probably the most scalable energy technology humanity has ever built. We are essentially printing electricity onto glass. Both solar has a but solar has a hidden weakness. It's synchronized. Everyone gets power at roughly the same time. Wind patterns are often stronger at night, stronger in winter, stronger during storms. So modern grids increasingly use solar, wind, batteries, hydro transmission. Very interesting. Okay. Transmission. There's another subtle point. Solar captures radiative energy directly. Wind captures concentrated kinetic flow. Maintenance ships, undersea cable, solar feeds like consumer electronics. Wind feels like naval engineering. Nuclear for baseload, batteries for short storage, maybe geothermal where possible. It's very interesting. Everything is connected. If you think about it, everything is connected. Like, yeah, that's so interesting. Like sun, it's because of the sun that the earth is being heated unequally, and that leads to pressure gradients, and that leads to wind. And the net positive impacts are time and statistics. 2026 lists name companies like mRNA pioneer Moderna, solar utility Sunrun, and circular economy giant Veolia among those with greatest measured positive benefit for humanity. Circular economy giant. Tell me about this company. Healthcare biotech Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly has reshaped how the world treats obesity and diabetes through GLP-1 drugs with knock-on effects on food, fitness, and healthcare costs. Moderna and Pfizer change vaccine development with mRNA platforms. Culture, information, ByteDance, Meta, Netflix, and Alphabet, YouTube shape what billions of people watch, believe, and argue about, for better or worse. A couple of caveats worth keeping in mind. Rankings like Times lean toward influences measured by visibility and reach, while methodologies like the Upright projects measure net impact, jobs, knowledge, health, environment, and produce very different lists, often surfacing utilities, healthcare systems, and infrastructure companies. So the companies above show up both kinds of lists depending on what you weigh. Veolia. Hello. Chalo. Yeah, मैं आ गया. It's a beautiful frame it, and there is something generally interesting in the paradox you're pointing at, but I want to push back on parts of it because I think the frame has some scenes worth pulling at, though we are all just trying to recreate reality at its again, but probably too tidy. A lot of what humans build isn't recreation, it's stuff reality doesn't offer at all. Reality doesn't have penicillin, doesn't have written language, or the ability to talk to someone across an ocean, or anesthesia during surgery. These aren't simulations of something pre-existing, they're genuine additions. An parent in 1850 watched 3 of their 5 children die before age 10. The real reality was the problem, not the cure. So the framing works for some products. We are social media, hyper-realistic graphics. Maybe in cities as simulations of community. Cities as simulations of community. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. but it doesn't really fit antibiotics or the polio vaccine or eyeglasses. The part I think is most right is the middle. The process changes us more than the product does. It's a deep observation. I would actually go further than you did. The process. The discipline of aligning people and resources around something hard isn't just a side effect, it might be the main thing humans get from ambitious projects. The main thing humans get from ambitious projects. The discipline of aligning people and resources around something hard isn't just a side effect, it might be the main thing humans get from ambitious projects. The discipline of aligning people and resources around something hard isn't just a side effect, it might be the main thing humans get from ambitious projects. The cathedral builders probably got more from building cathedrals than worshippers got from praying in them. The Apollo program's lasting gift wasn't moon rocks. Our pushback hardest is the ending. The move from the process improves us to therefore the product is fake and we should return to real reality is a jump that doesn't quite land. If the process is what matters and the product being a manufactured reality isn't a strike against it, it's the medium through which the transformation happens. I'm actually really curious. How would Signal phrase this? Well, the cathedral builders got more from raising the stone than the worshippers even got from kneeling under it. The cathedral builders probably got more from building cathedrals than worshippers got from praying in them. I actually already like this. Let's read it. Our pushback hardest is the ending. The move from manufactured reality is a medium through which the transformation happens. You can't get the growth without the striving, and you can't have the striving without aiming at something. You can't get the growth without the striving. You can't get the growth without the striving, and you can have the striving without aiming at something. Telling people skip the manufactured reality, just live in the real one removes the very thing that produces the growth you're celebrating. There's also quite a assumption in there worth naming. The real reality is uniformly better and more accessible than the built one. For someone with a chronic illness, real reality includes pain that medicine mutes. For someone whose family lives on another continent, real reality includes a separation that video calls partially heal. The built world is often what makes the real one bearable or even reachable. I think the version of you I would actually buy is closer to the striving matters more than the artifact, and a life spent only inside built realities misses something the people who build those things usually had in abundance. Okay, very interesting. I think the version of your idea would actually buy is closer to the striving matters more than the artifact, and a life spent only inside built realities misses something the people who built those things usually had in abundance, which was contact with the unmediated world. But it's narrower than we all realized. Manufactured reality was a detour. Some of it was a detour. Some of it is the only reason we get to have this conversation at all. This is something the people who build those things usually had in abundance, which was contact with the unmediated world.